Revitalize your senses. Hello, good morning, and welcome. This is the 6th episode of the podcast, audio recording, therapy session, whatever you want to call it. And today I want to talk about a few things: health and fitness, my fitness course, and I guess just general chit-chat. So in recent times, probably the last couple of days, or 3 or 4 days, or whatever you want to call it, me and my partner have been actively trying to do some health-related things. One of those things is fasting, and the other one is eating once per day. And let's take a brief moment to listen to this. It's very windy right now. And it's good to slip into the habit by accident. And that's what I guess sort of has happened. We have had partial motivation from one of our friends, and yeah, so we've been doing this sort of fasting for 24 hours, and sometimes 36, sometimes 48, and then just having that one meal at a certain time, at least on the 24-hour mark, or the 36-hour mark, or the 48-hour mark. So 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. And in the past, I've done that, where I'll tell you exactly. So I did this routine where I would fast for 24 hours. I would eat the one meal, and then I'd do that for 4 days. And then when Thursday hit, so if I started Monday, I would hit Thursday, and I think I'd eat a meal, and then I wouldn't eat till Saturday. And then I did that for about 4 weeks, and it was pretty good. I think I lost a chunk of weight doing that. And it really retrains your brain when you actually fast for at least 1 day. And if you can get through the second day, you've really trained your brain a lot better. And I guess it just fixes it and cleans it out a bit. Cleans out your body. And then you think less about all the things you want to eat and what you desire, and then you start thinking about, oh, I can do this. And then if you weighed yourself beforehand, then you might be surprised when you weigh yourself afterward. And it's just sort of motivation to keep going and exercise, and I guess you'll start to feel like you want to do more things. And your brain can actually think about what it's doing, and you can be in the zone a lot. And your sleep can get better, and your habits will change a little bit. And I think the first day, or the first 3 days, is the best for retraining your brain. And once you hit 1 week, it's all good. And I haven't succeeded in that in a short while, but I have completed tasks like that before, where I have changed my health for the better. And in the past, I'll actually talk about my health goal. I'll actually talk about my health from the past. So back in 2012, when I was living at my parents' house, it was the biggest prime of my life. I think 2012 was probably the best year. Well, not thus far, but it was a very good year. Well, it was an okay year. But it was a lot of partying, a lot of not partying, but just drinking and just hanging out with friends, and it was okay. At least 2011 and 2012, those 2 years. Anyways, so I didn't have my car license then, and then I could probably remember the dates, so I think it was like June 14th in 2012, where I started a weight loss journey. And the way it happened was I went to the doctors because I was worried about something, and he basically just said, maybe you should just stop eating like crap and look after yourself. And I was like, bloody hell, okay, shit, I look like a fucking idiot, I look like a fool. And so the way it goes is I had my last bag of Doritos that day. You know, I took the advice, but I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And from that date after, I started basically lifting weights. Oh, sorry, that's a lie. I started using a treadmill for a while. I think I started using that up till August. So it didn't take long. It was like a 2-month period. But in that time frame, I wasn't hanging out with anyone. I was sheltering myself. I wasn't going to my friends. I wasn't doing anything. But there was a lot going on back then. A lot of personal stuff, not to do with me, but just things I created with my friend. And I don't know, I think I created a hurdle in our friendship back then, but anyway, I started losing weight, and yeah, I got obsessed. I became obsessed with the treadmill, and I just really enjoyed it. And you know, 1 minute I'm walking on the treadmill, next minute I'm running and walking and running and getting out there into the real world and going for actual runs in the real world and bike rides in the real world. And then I started lifting weights. I lifted a lot of weights, actually. Oh god, there was a home gym in a shed, a small shed, and I was trying to do like Olympic style for oh god, it's like a bodybuilding program. It's like really just too much. Like it would be, I don't know if it was every single day, but it felt like it was every single day, and it felt like I was working the same muscle groups twice a week, I guess. Doing everything in excess, I suppose. Anyway, so okay, so I'm trying to explain it. I can't remember if I was like 100 kilos or just like 96 kilos or something like that. But whatever weight I was, I went down to about 73 kilograms. So what is it, like 20 kilos that I lost from that. And basically I was eating tuna and lettuce, and then like stuff with beans, and I really don't know. I only remember like tuna and lettuce and having coffee, and maybe I'll have like a bean salad, and I don't remember if I was conscious about certain things for the first weight loss part, because I did lose all the weight, or most of it, or most of what I wanted, and then I started lifting weights, and then I started gaining weight again from that. But then, yeah, I'll get into it. So I think this is where everything went slightly wrong. I started a fitness course, in January of 2013, and before that I was talking to a girl, and then she's now like my long-term partner. And in 2013, when I got into the fitness course, I was very much into it, but I was also into this relationship. And I'm not trying to talk bad about it or anything like that, but it was at a time period where her family was very open and welcoming, but the food they were eating wasn't the best, and I was very susceptible, if that's the right word, to, having that bad habit, the addiction, the getting back into things that I shouldn't. And so, with the fitness course, it started off okay. I learned a lot of stuff, which was good. But I didn't get into the industry because my primary focus was to learn stuff based off of the fact that I lost a bunch of weight, so I wanted to help myself a bit more. Anyway, so I get into the relationship at the same time, and we seen each other every other week. I'd go to Melbourne, she'd come to where I lived, and then it was sort of a back and forth type deal. I was healthy at my house, but her house was welcoming and basically heavy meals, heaps of snacks. It started off I was okay with not doing that, but then I got into that and it just became this bad habit, so the evil of the evil just came in and anyway, and I guess it would be safe to say that I didn't really walk away from that one. I was in a pretty good, healthy mindset back then. It was such a nice, peaceful, quiet environment where I could focus on myself. Anyway, so I did the fitness course. It wasn't so bad. I became a lot more lethargic, and I started to be a stupid idiot and think that bodybuilding meant that I just eat a bunch of junk food and bulk up and then try to work on myself and get all buff and just disgusting looking. But it wasn't that. It was just being lethargic all the time and being tired all the time and not being bothered or in the mood to exercise. Whereas before it was just so much easier. And so I fell into that bad habit, and then I started to gain weight. And then, I don't know, I was sort of getting muscle and whatnot, but I was a little twink. I had a photo where I was a bloody little twink, and then I sort of, I wouldn't call it bulked up, I got fatter basically, and I guess with the weights it just made me look slightly bigger. I don't know, whatever. I don't rate myself that highly in that regard. I guess, what could I talk about in the fitness course? It was a lot like a film course where you just have tasks and you'd work in groups and in teams and to achieve a goal or whatnot, to make a film or to work on someone or work with someone. I don't know how to explain it, but there was a lot of that, and I basically skipped classes at the end. Probably important classes, and by the time it came to the end of it, I just didn't want to go anymore. But I did appreciate the course. It's a good place to meet people, talk about the same thing, be positive, and it was a good experience. My views have changed on fitness a lot, and health and all that type of thing. I don't think that people should go out of their way to go to a gym, and for the most part I've thought gyms, for the most part in recent times I've thought gyms were pretty fucking gay, and pretty stupid, and I was for the gyms a while ago. And the reason I say that is because I believe that you should be able to lift your own body weight if you want to gain strength. And to me that's vital, it's important. And if you can't lift your own body weight, or push your own body weight, or have endurance in doing that, then I don't believe, a lot of people can lift weights, but not a lot of people can lift their own body weight. And that's what I've found. Now, by all means, I love a good treadmill, and I love some good dumbbells and kettlebells, and just anything like that, but at the end of the day, paying for something like that is just a joke. And because I have excuses too, and my excuse is I prefer to be on a treadmill than go for a walk, and I think it's beneficial for people to actually get out there and get some confidence, go for walks, climb some trees, go to some monkey bars, go buy some ropes, or go whatever the hell it is. Maybe you could buy a couple kettlebells. It doesn't have to be extreme. You could lift some logs and whatnot. Do some pull-ups, push-ups, chin-ups, some squats, lunges. There's plenty to do. Push some cars around, it is addictive to actually want to have access to higher weights and things like that. And I can't talk too negatively about it, because obviously I'm not training in it anymore, and I'm not invested in it, but I have different goals and different views, and my views are that we shouldn't be overly exercising. We shouldn't be elevating our heart rate too much. We should be focusing more on what we eat as opposed to how much exercise we can have, because a lean person will automatically have a better, cleaner system, and you wouldn't need to calculate any calories if you pretty much stuck to sort of like I don't like calling them diets and fads or anything like that, but if you just ate basic food. And the other thought process is people eat too much. People eat way too much. It's just ridiculous. And people have been taught to eat every 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours, whatever it is now. I don't know if it keeps changing, but in those meals, it might be sort of a light meal, but the calories will basically increase during the day, and next minute you have to burn those calories and you have to maintain those calories. Whereas if you ate one meal a day, and you didn't eat as much, and that meal was good enough, then yeah, maybe you would feel better and you wouldn't need to exercise as much, and it wouldn't be sedentary, but it would be, you can lift your own body weight every now and then, or well, on a schedule, on a what's it called, routine, in a routine. Then you'll stay clean, lean, healthy, and good, and your internal organs will be thankful. Because there's different types of health, different levels of health. And health to me isn't the buff guy with abs and, I don't know, it's not like, there's just like a body image problem that we have, and that's not internal health. Internal health is much more broader than that. So your body needs a certain thing to actually function properly and actually have a brain that works and your organs that actually do their work. And if you don't give it what it needs, then you'll feel it, you'll know it, and you'll live it, and that's it. Yeah, I mean, it's just an image issue. There's so much vanity out there, and don't know. To me, I get like that sometimes, but mainly my primary focus would be to look after my internal health and stay as lean as I can in terms of what it would be like in a natural setting. It's hard to just explain. And in this world too, people drink way too much water, and they take in way too many salts, and that's the reason why they need a lot of water. And I believe that if you steer clear of all that salt intake and sodium and what have you, you would only need like a few drops of water a day. That's being dramatic, obviously. And I'd be happy to try that one day and test it out for some sort of video, whether or not what I'm saying is true and how my body would function, but that's just an opinion and a belief that I have about people's intake. Too much food, too much water, too much food, too much water. Oh, this morning I am tired. God. Been changing up my routine again, or my sleeping position, location. And now it's a little bit more difficult to become comfortable again. I'd like to transition into addiction and how that is for me. I don't know if I've talked about this already. But anyway, this is stuff that I'm mostly trying to archive, goddamn, whatever you want to call it. Put it in a vault, talk about it, make it a therapy session, and dump it online for everyone to have access to at any given time. Anyways, addiction, hey? Well, anything and everything is an addiction, and anything and everything is a drug. And if you have an addictive personality like me, then that becomes more of a reality. And the primary issue with addiction is it all stems from senses and the way the body and the brain is reminded of a certain thing based on other things. And I was discussing this yesterday with my partner, and if you have had a struggle with alcohol in the past, and I've had my little pockets of fun, you will, or at least in my condition, or what I've had problems with, is you will associate certain things with alcohol. So, for example, whenever I've listened to music or watched a certain film or watched a certain TV show or YouTube videos or things like that, and I've had sessions where I've been intoxicated and enjoyed that type of entertainment, being in a sober environment and trying to relive the music and relive the things that I've watched and seen. It triggers the senses and reminds me of the special times that I had. So it's this thing where I have to try and overcome that issue on its own, and it's not hard right now, but it can be, because it for me, it screws around with my brain and makes me go, oh wow, I remember that feeling. That felt great. I remember that time. That was a wonderful time. And other things like
the black dust represents the ethyl alcohol content. The alcohol travels down the esophagus.
Like eating certain foods, drinking certain particular soft drinks. Like Coke will remind me of having whiskey in Coke, or Bundy in Coke, or some sort of alcoholic beverage with Coke. And you can sort of smell it in the drink, and you can taste it a little bit. And certain cakes too, there's like a liqueur in it, or some sort of reminder, an essence inside of it that reminds me of alcohol, or yeast that reminds me of beer, or certain fruits. When I eat it, it reminds me of, say, if I have an addiction to soda, soft drink, certain fruits will trigger those senses and remind me of what that soft drink tastes like, and the sense, the smell, the everything. Or when I'm walking in public spaces and I smell a bakery and I smell certain foods, it could remind me of another addiction. And each addiction is triggered by a certain taste or smell. So if I have an addiction to chocolate and sugar, a certain other thing will remind me of that. And it's sort of like a never-ending nightmare of different smells and tastes. And I mean, that becomes a problem, because there's a lot of different types of chemicals, I guess, inside of these things, and I know that they are designed to trigger those senses, and they are designed to create a chemical imbalance in your body and brain, whereby you sort of, I guess it could create attention deficit. And well, I remember when I was a teenager, I'd eat bags of lollies and soda, and I'd be off my nut, and I'd be off the walls, as they say. And it's just the same with like the red cordial idea, the idea that red things can make people go nutty and off the walls and bounce off the walls and make them crazy. That's things like strawberries, red cordial, salami, watermelon, anything that looks red, and whenever I have chocolate now, I don't have anything like Smarties and M&Ms with colours in it, because every time I had those, they'd make me go loopy. And there's certain soft drink like Pepsi and Mountain Dew that make me go nutty. Caffeine is pretty wild one as well. And I've noticed too that if I have coffee with milk in it, I have a craving for other things. Whereas if I have a black coffee, I'm mostly just not a lethargic, but just like a little bit better, but it tastes like shit. And I don't have those overall cravings. And even with the milk coffee, it just feels a little funny. It makes my brain a little quirky and mad almost, and I don't understand it. But the funny thing is, I talk to other people and I explain my situation about how caffeine makes me a little bit mental, or coffee makes me a little bit crazy and angry and bitter, and it reacts with my sleep issues and tiredness, and it does the opposite effect, where it will make me more unstable and crazy. And they don't have that feeling. And I guess the people that I talk to, I don't think that they participate in the certain foods that I participate in. And I've had an addiction to sugar, so chocolates and cakes, and I have a sweet tooth, and it's problematic because I have two extremes about myself. One, I'll be absolutely terribly addicted to the stuff, or two, I can be absolutely not addicted to it and not want to eat food and be crazy in the health department, depending on the time, really. And I'm just wondering if the people that I talk to about that, whether or not they are actually eating the same foods as I am. And I'm guessing the answer is not likely. And maybe their sleep is better than mine. I don't know. But it's just, I have a multitude of things, and I've noticed living where I live that if I have anything with caffeine in it, and then I have my sugar, and then I have my meal, a combination of that, the weather, and the rapid change in weather, mixed with the traffic noises on the highway, it makes my brain so ridiculously tiredly funny and weird and cranky, and just makes my brain a little funny. And I take all that away. Essentially, it goes all these away. Things to work on. So I know that that's my cure. And with fasting, I can be extremely calm and extremely loving and caring and a wonderful person. And it can be mistaken for someone who's mentally unstable, but I want to explain some weird time I had, like a weird moment I had, and I can't pinpoint the time frame or when it happened, or if it was associated with something else. Anyway, there was one time I became extremely ill that for 10 days I was basically on the toilet, pooping the shit out of the toilet, to the point where on one of the days I was shitting blood, and I was just worried about that. I didn't go to the doctors or anything like that. And I was vomiting, and I had stomach pain, so I guess the assumption was I got food poisoning. This was back when I was trying to be a vegetarian. I was picking out stuff from the garden and juicing vegetables as well from the store, and so the thing is, I would take all the vegetables I purchased and it would go into a fridge with meat. So I don't know if there was some sort of cross-contamination. It would be chicken necks with my silver beet and other vegetables that would just sit in the fridge. Sometimes it wouldn't even be wrapped up or anything like that. Anyways, so I had that experience for 10 days, and I don't know if I lost a bunch of weight from having that violent experience, but I wasn't eating that much during that 10-day period. I don't think I was eating at all, but I don't know. I can't pinpoint it. I've got to have eaten something in that time, but I don't know. Anyways, by the end of it, and I believe it was during this time period, I basically went outside, and it was a nice sunny day, mellow. I think it was a morning time. And I was looking at the sun, and I was taking it all in, and I started bawling my eyes out. And I just felt like I had so much energy, and I had an overwhelming feeling that was on me, and my partner came out, and she was like, "Is everything okay?" and whatnot. Gave me a hug, but I was just so gone, and I was just like, I'm so happy I could die right now. It was just a creepy moment, a weird feeling. It just felt so strange. And if you look it up, people have associated that with you were probably about to die. I don't know if that's true. I probably only read that once or twice somewhere, I don't know. Probably read that briefly online. I have no idea. But that was very strange. And I did lose like 10 kilos doing that. And then I was pretty happy to keep going. But the problem is, there's just negative people around me. But, well, at that time, it wasn't my partner or anything. It was my neighbour. So if you tell her something, she'll be negative about it. And, well, not always. But I don't tell her much of certain things anymore. I don't tell her about my gardening. I don't tell her about if I do any health goals or anything like that, what I feed my children or anything like that. Bad influence there. And she bakes cakes, so you can imagine she was sabotaging my shit because she knows I have a sweet tooth. And I'm very, very much going to jump on that train real quick. I think that might have been the time period where I started to do those 24-hour fasts mixed in with the fasting on the weekends. And I'd love to go and experience that feeling I had again, where I'm just in a calm space and nothing bothers me anymore. And that would be great. I could be nice to everyone. And people would be like, "This is weird." And I would just ignore everything, and it would just be so peaceful, and nothing would just, it's such a dream, and I felt that only when I was ill and sick, and was I on my deathbed? I don't have a clue, I don't know, but it was great, and that's the type of experience I'd love to have before I died. I don't want to be in a hospital bed. you know, being killed off. I'd love to just have that overwhelming feeling and just drop dead, you know. It sounds pretty bad, but it would be great. Because I've heard a lot of people's experiences, and they're in pain. They got bowel cancer, and their body is shitting blood all the time, and they're just, it's all coming out, and it's just bad news. So that's the way I'd like to go out. But yeah, anyway, it's not fair to talk about that right now. Now, what else is there to talk about? Oh, the other thing, what you can power on a small solar system. So, I mean, it's what we run on a daily basis, but I need to truly test out the bare minimum solar panel with a small battery and then see what I can charge on it, and I think I'll be accurate. Now, so you can charge camera batteries, bloody hell, I'm butchering the shit out of this. Camera batteries, I can charge a Nintendo Switch, my phone's, laptop. Now my laptop charger is the biggest I've ever had. I think it's like 120 watts or something. Whereas in the past I'd only have a 45 watt or max 65 watt charger. Because I've got a gaming laptop, I suppose. It's not even that impressive. I could barely edit 4K videos on it. But it's still 120 watts charger anyway. And so I have 3 170 watt solar panels and 2 100 amp hour batteries. Now, for anyone who doesn't have that much money and wants to run on the cheap, I would probably just get like a 100 watt solar panel and possibly like a 20 to 40 amp hour battery, and you'll be surprised, as long as you're pointing that at the sun and it's not like wintry and all that sort of crap, you'll be surprised. You'll be able to charge your phone, you'll be able to charge your Switch, you'll be able to charge your DSLR batteries. I'm fairly certain anyway. Probably not all at once, I don't know. Whatever. And you could probably purchase all this stuff used. Solar panel, you could get one used. Wouldn't be that expensive. And if you already have these camera stuff and all the gear you've got for whatever, then you'll be able to live very simply. The other thing I want to talk about is, I think 5 or 6 years ago, at the lower end of the scale, it's about probably way more than 4 years ago. It's got to be 5 years ago, probably. So 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, probably 5-6 years ago, we purchased a Dometic 40 amp hour battery pack. It's like this grey thing. It's in a box and has a cigarette lighter on it. And that thing's lasted us all this time, and it's been through the ringer, to the point where it hasn't been used sometimes, hasn't been charged sometimes. It's been drained down to 11 something volts, and it still charges to this day. It's had periods where it's been in the shed sitting there for like God knows how long, and you'd think the battery would drain. I think this might be a stretch, but at least 6 to 12 months, there's got to have been a time period where it hasn't seen daylight or been charged at all, and it charges again. The only thing that broke off of it, and I don't even know how to pry that shit open, is the cigarette lighter, and the voltage reader on it, I think, is gone. I might be dramatic about how long it's lasted, but I don't know. Like, I mean, how long we've gone without charging it, but I'm not sure, because there have been time periods where it's been very lengthy. We haven't needed to use it, we've forgotten about it, and it's still charged again. And times where we drain the shit out of it, and still charging again. No replacement of the internal battery, nothing at all. I don't even know what the bloody battery is inside of it. I don't even know if it's a lead acid. I don't know anything about it. It certainly probably isn't lithium, because I know lithium, I think, drains down to shit and then it's fucked. I mean, I think that's the truth. I've noticed that with devices that I have, like little cameras and laptop batteries and phone batteries, and I think the transition to lithium was probably not too great. Yeah, so if I could recommend any battery pack, I'd recommend whatever the hell I purchased 5-6 years ago, a 40 amp hour Dometic battery, and I'm fairly certain they probably sell them brand new still. I think that's the same with a lot of things. Something becomes popular and it remains on the shelf at the full price, and then there's a huge demand for it because of how great it is. Anyway, I'm not going to get too much into that. In terms of sizing up the solar panel to the battery, I don't know, there's calculators out there. I think it goes, so if you've got 40 amp hours, you times it by 12, what is that, like over 400 watts? And yeah, I don't fucking know, you know, it's just overly complicated garbage. Just when we first started, we just got a 100 watt battery and a 100. Oh, sorry. I don't even know why we bought that other thing. That's weird. We bought a 100 amp hour battery. I don't know why. Anyway. I think that's enough talking for me. If anyone's listening, thank you, good morning, and goodbye.